Hey everybody, Dan at Working Dad Runner here to break down how I go about setting up a training program. So first and foremost, there are a lot of options out there nowadays. Certainly you could set it up on your own. That's what I tend to do, and that's what I'll talk about a little bit today. There are a lot of different running books out there. You could certainly find one of those and do a specific workout or kind of a baseline workout that they have, then apply it to the training program that fits your skill level and distance. And those work out pretty well. That's a lot of how my college training program was based, and it worked out pretty well. And then there's a lot of different coaching options out there nowadays, which I think this is great. I don't use a coach personally. Again, some of this is maybe I'm currently self-motivated enough and like sitting down and writing out the program for me. I know I'm only going to be letting myself down if I don't get a workout in versus a coach. I'm going to maybe feel like I let them down a little bit. But there are a lot of different options out there in the mid-COVID, post-COVID era. Now there's a lot of things that can be done virtually, remotely, however you want to word that. And there are a lot of coaches that might be more in tune with what your goals are, where you are and where you're at in your life and schedule, and be able to work with you pretty flexibly. And so that's a great option too. So the three main keys to a good running program, in my opinion, are a base phase, which is usually going to last between 8 and 12 weeks, preferably. You could go longer than that depending on what the race distance you're trying to run is, how long you've got to train for it, what season it is. So a lot of different factors there. Usually though, this is going to be a build-up, again, about 8 to 12 weeks. Old rule of thumb is no more than 10% from one week to the next. The new research says you can safely get away with 20% of your average of the last 4 weeks. So if you run 20, 25, and 30 miles, you can safely add 20% of your 25-mile average from that 3 weeks. Really, I guess you need another week in there, but you get the idea. You take the average of your 4 weeks, multiply it by 20%, and you can safely figure out what 20% is, and you can safely add that to your 4th week. That being said, I usually like a 3-week build and then 1 rest week. Usually this is 5 to 10 miles less than my 3rd week was, but you can kind of make it work how you want there. Just be smart about it. Don't go too many miles too fast. I had some tibial stress fractures in college, which were probably partially because of that. The second phase would be more your transition work. This is the way I like to think about it, is your transition period is the time between you've kind of built up your mileage, you're not going to build anymore, you're not ready to work on race-specific speed or race-specific workouts, but you need that time period, and this can be 4 weeks, this could be 6 weeks, but this isn't usually like a real long phase like the base phase is. And I work on tempo work, long speed work like repetition and interval miles and 1,000 meters. I don't do well with those workouts, and so that's what I tend to work on in that transition phase, knowing that I do well with the speed work because I was a 400, 800, 1,500 meter runner in college. I tend to respond really quickly to speed work, so I save that for the last 4 to 6 weeks, which is when I work on shorter, faster repetitions, a little more rest, and really kind of hone those skills that I'm going to need for that race. In my case, I like to run the mile, so repeat 200s, 400s, work in a couple longer repetitions, but not nearly as much as that transition phase would be. So that's a quick rundown. I'll go into further depth in future videos on each, the base phase, the transition phase, and the race-specific phase. Maybe talking a little more specifically about race-specific for, say, the mile, the 5K, and so on. So that's a quick rundown. Again, a coach is always a great option. Lots and lots of books out there. It's easy to get over consumed with trying to make it yourself, but it's also really easy to have decision fatigue as far as which book, which training plan do I use. So again, that's where a coach comes in handy, but lots of different options out there. Base phase, transition, and race specific phases I think are some key points. So if you have any questions, post them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that I know what people want to watch. So until the next one, happy running.